Excellent. Hello, everyone. We are the UNH student team for Richardson Media Group, which is a New Hampshire-based marketing media company. Next slide.
I'm Jamie and I'm a senior.
My name's Emma and I'm a junior.
Our client is Ann Richardson, the owner and media director of Richardson Media Group. I'm Colleen, I'm a senior.
And I'm Lily and I'm a junior.
When we started with RMG, they had 44 points earned on the B impact assessment, which is actually the average number of points for companies in RMG's classification. And this just shows that it's challenging for a business model like RMG's to earn points because they're very small service-based business. In RMG's case, they don't have a supply chain, which made it challenging on the environment section to make a large impact. And in addition, in the workers and government section, it was tricky to complete because RMG only has 2 employees. In these sections, RMG struggled to earn points because they do not have multiple managers or a board of directors in their business structure, and the small number of employees created situations on percentage-based questions where RMG either never or always reached the benchmarks. This shows that companies in the same or similar classifications to RMG struggle to make a big impact, and therefore it's challenging for them to reach that 80-point threshold because of their size and that they offer a service rather than a product.
And in addition to these challenges that Jamie mentioned, the UNH team really wanted to gain a better understanding of the company mission and Anne's motivation for wanting to become a B certified company at all. She was taking lots of time out of her already busy schedule and making changes to her business practices. So we really wanted to make sure that the actions we are recommending to her added value to her company, not just to her overall point total.
So even with all the challenges that Jamie just mentioned, we are so happy to say that Richardson Media Group is now only 11 points away from being able to submit for B Corp certification. This is a huge jump from the 44 points that they started the semester with, and we are so excited for Anne and her team and also proud of all the work they've done. During the semester, they also became a New Hampshire benefit corporation, which is a specific legal status, as many of the people on the Zoom call know, which is a huge step for a company to take, and also created a corporate responsibility guide, which contains many of the policies and practices that we've talked about this semester and really encompasses what it's like for a mission-driven company to put things into practice. They also published a mission statement, which is available on their website and encompasses the motivations they have behind becoming a B Corp, a benefit corporation, and all the other things that they do. During our call last week, Anne and I and the team were all discussing, what is the motivation for Anne to be doing this? And a big part of it, of course, is that it is the right thing to do. But in addition to that, it differentiates Richardson Media Group because not a lot of marketing media companies even know very much about benefit corporations. So it gives the company a really strong, unique identity, and it's a new group, a new community for Richardson Media Group to connect with.
With all the progress our team made throughout the semester, we wanted to make sure Anne was prepared once we left her to reach those final 80 points. Early on in the semester, Colleen created a great point tracking system in Excel, which you can see on the slide. This lists all of the recommendations we were able to give Anne, what section they belong to, and also the point value with the scale showing from smallest to greatest. So we went through that our final recommendations with Anne, and had her choose which one she would be most likely to implement after the semester. We then took those ones that she said yes to and created a graphic, which can be seen on the next slide. This graphic helps Anne visualize which steps she wants to pursue first. It has multiple scales, which you can't see all of them from smallest to largest on this, but it has ease of implementation versus how many points it will gain her. So once she decides what step she's going to take next, we then had a Word document that had every recommendation we gave Anne throughout the semester with a detailed action plan, including links to different resources and websites and examples from other companies. We also have a condensed version of this with just these recommendations. Overall, we hope we have set up Richardson Media Group for success and cannot wait to see them finally receive their B certification. We want to thank all of you for coming tonight. And also, if you'd like to follow Richardson Media Group's success in the future, please follow them on their Instagram, LinkedIn, or check out their website. Also, we're very excited to announce that Anne will be releasing an episode of her B Suite podcast where we will be guests and discussing our journey. This can be found also on her website. To talk to any of us more, please connect with us on LinkedIn, which will be dropped in the chat after our presentation. And again, we would like to say a big thank you to Erin, Fiona, and Emily for this great opportunity. A ginormous thank you to Anne for being not only a great client, but mentor. And again, a great thank you to all of you for coming today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the Richardson Media Group team. That was wonderful. So I would love to just invite Anne if you'd like to just share a few words, and then we'll open it up to questions. And if anyone wants to drop questions into the chat, please feel free to do that as well.
Thanks, everybody. I have to just say to my team, that was incredible. You guys did a great job. Congratulations. It's been such a pleasure to work with the four of you. You're such talented and engaging people. I've learned as much from you, I hope, as you've learned from me. Going through the assessment has been very difficult, and there were a lot of places where I felt discouraged, and you just kept me buoyed up throughout the whole process. I also was really moved on our last call when you shared with me that the snippets of my entrepreneurial story that I had shared with you had really resonated with you and motivated you. And I learned a little bit about your future goals and that some of you might want to take an entrepreneurial path in your future. And it just made such a difference to me. And I was just really honored to have played a small role as a role model for you. So I hope we'll stay in touch. And just really thank you for this program, to the organizers too, because I don't think that I would have been able to figure it out on my own. And it's just been such an incredible and positive experience.
Thank you so much, Anne.
And listen to the B Suite, because I'm interviewing all four of my students in a few weeks, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd love, if anyone has a question, please feel free to just, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can drop them into the chat. And while we're waiting for folks to do that, I'll ask the team. So what was the most, kind of the biggest takeaway that you had from working with Anne this semester?
I think it was a lot of creative problem solving. Like Jamie was talking about, when you don't have a product or like a supply chain, or when you've only got one or two employees, I had to go far beyond the obvious solutions to get points. And I know we had a lot of team discussions of just like, we don't know what to do with like this section of the assessment. And so being able to go through that process, and then also in talking to Anne, really understand what is motivating a company to go through this, because it is expensive. It is so much work. And Anne really, like, you guys can't see the corporate responsibility guide, but like we were looking at it, we were like, these are pages upon pages, and just gaining a greater understanding of the motivations a company has to go through that, especially for a small service-based company.
Mm.
And I'll maybe just ask a question of all of the team members on this team. You know, one of the reasons that UNH is putting a high priority on what we call high impact learning, this kind of learning where you're taking what you've learned in the classroom and using it out in the real world with clients like Anne. What can you just speak a little bit about sort of what this kind of experience has given you that you can't get in your traditional classroom experiences?
I think one really great thing about this was Anne was able to give us so many mini lessons about things we wouldn't have even thought of in just like a textbook course. Like we went through our consulting agreement, I think like 3 or 4 times, and it was just like language things or deliverables, like what we were actually going to give her. Also, just like throughout the semester, kind of like what Colleen was saying, she would kind of more explain to us like what an insurance plan actually was and how you would sign up for one through a company and everything. So there was definitely a lot of little mini lessons that just spontaneously come about that I don't think you can get in just a structured classroom where there's less room for kind of getting off topic.
And to kind of piggyback off of what Lily said, I feel like this experience was more of like a mentorship than it was a class, because I think Anne mentioned this when she was speaking to you all, but we really all helped each other because we learned so much from Anne and Anne learned so much from us. So it was a mix of us being the teacher for once, but also receiving all these real life lessons of things that you hear about with that like companies have to deal with that you don't traditionally get taught in a classroom.
Thank you
That's
for
great.
sharing
Thank you.
that. And I want to just ask Todd's question here, are that whether or not there are many companies of this size that are certified B Corps. I'll put it to the student teams to see if you know, if you want to share.
It is fewer than other classifications, certainly. I think that there's, the kind of more obvious companies that came from like fair trade. So a lot of, very coffee and tea companies or clothing companies where you have kind of that clear, we have to worry about our supply chains motivation. I think more and more service-based companies like professional services companies are moving towards this. And if you listen to Anne's B-Speak podcast, she does interview some mission-based professional service companies. So that's a great place to learn about them. But it's, at least certainly in the New England area, they're harder to find.
We also discovered throughout the semester to stop calling Richardson Media Group a small business, and we liked calling it a micro business because it really is the two main components of Anne and Brenda when you're going through the questions about governance, which is very different from even 9, because when you send out a survey, if Anne wants to get feedback, she knows exactly who it's coming from, so it can't really be anonymous. So that was also some of our issues that we ran into.
Nice.
Hmm.
I'll jump in here with a question, especially as a fellow micro business. For other companies who face similar struggles when it comes to gaining points due to size, where would you recommend that they put their focus to really gain those points?
Hmm.
It's a great question. I think that there is anything towards so if you're a restaurant like Jack's Pizza is, then definitely the environment section or the when it comes to governance, I think that even with very, very small companies like micro companies, and with workers, there are policy points, like actions that you can take that set you up for the next time a worker comes in. So things like maternity leave and paternity leave, paid volunteer time, the more options that an employee has, even if it's just to employees, you don't know who's going to walk through your door next to become an employee. And that way you're going to be covered for whatever their needs are. And the B Impact Worker section, I think, does a really good job of sort of laying that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colleen. I appreciate it.
And kind of to go off of what Colleen said a little bit, one thing that we noticed with Richardson Media Group is that there were a lot of things that she did that she didn't have actually written down in like the worker section and the governance section. And so going back and saying like, hey, you do this, you just need to write it down and you can get points for it is something that we noticed is really big for small companies.
Awesome. Super helpful. Thank you, Emma. Great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you all so very much. That was wonderful.